Welcome back, fellow Pirates and One Piece fans. Today we delve into an exciting theory that explores the hidden connection between two powerful figures in the world of One Piece, Aokiji and Garp. Could there be more to their relationship that meets the eye, and what will happen to both of them next? Okay, sub, like, do all that stuff, and let's get into it. Throughout the One Piece storyline, Aokiji, the enigmatic former admiral, and Garp, the legendary marine hero, have had several encounters that leave us wondering about their true connection. Some fans believe there might be a deeper bond between the two, extending beyond their roles as allies or adversaries. We just saw them go head to head at Hachinosu before Kuzan turned Garp into a popsicle. Remember, the last time Kuzan froze someone, they didn't die, so what's going to happen to Garp? It might be possible Blackbeard trades him into the world government, and Emu puts him in the Maryjois freezer just for him to later break out and cause havoc. Or maybe Garp is actually gone, and Kuzan knew he had to be the one to do it, giving off a whole Snape Harry Potter loyalty vibe.
Hey everybody, Randy Troy here. I'm going to talk about two of my favorite characters to talk about, Garp and Kuzan. Yes, they are two very enigmatic characters indeed, and the recent Hachinosu content that we have been getting has been shining a new light on their relationship. Now, we were introduced to Garp, not necessarily by name, but by idea from Kuzan during the Long Ring Longland arc. Granted, we did see him unnamed during the Kobe Meppo cover story, and he was also in the Romance Dawn pilot. That's a whole a whole other thing. But the relationship between these two characters is interesting because Kuzan was used as a device to introduce Garp into the story by way of Luffy. So already you were setting up that these two characters had a deeper connection than what was necessarily on the page, right? And it goes in line with the theme that the person that you hold in regard to almost like a father isn't always the person that is biologically related to you. It's often the person that you actually look up to and the person that, fuels your own ideals and desires and, just your dream, right? We see this with Luffy and Shanks. We see it with Sabo and Dragon, with Ace and Whitebeard, with Sanji and Zeph, with Chopper and Hiriluk. None of those characters are their actual biological father. And I believe that the Hachinosu content of it all was to establish that Kuzan and Garp have this same familial bond, in the same way that a Luffy and a Shanks does. Garp was the person that Kuzan always looked up to. This was blatant, even going back to Chapter 0 when, the two of them are walking and Kuzan is following him like a puppy dog, talking about how cool it is that he denied his promotion. This lines up much later on when Kuzan fights Sakazuki for a promotion, doesn't get it, and then leaves the Marines. Now, there's a lot of speculation about Sword. I've been one of the most vocal people that Garp is either the leader of Sword or at the very least the inspiration for it. This man that doesn't want anything to do with the Celestial Dragons, and you see the way that Sword moves. It seems like it's a organization within the Marines to secretly overthrow the government or the system. And it seems like that is very much Garp's MO, and we see this in Marineford when he doesn't help Ace. Why doesn't he help Ace? Because it's mission over family. And when we're talking about this Snape kills Dumbledore idea of it all, that really lines up with Kuzan and Garp, because if it is mission over family or found family, and there was ever going to be a situation where Kuzan is still undercover, deep cover, in Sword, not in Sword, but still, against Blackbeard, right? If there was a situation where he had to play his role and make sure that Blackbeard maintained this idea that Kuzan was with him, right? One of the biggest ways to do that would be to have Kuzan in a twist be the person to actually kill Garp. Now, I feel like that opportunity has kind of left the story, especially if we jump really far away from Hachinosu. Now, if in the next coming chapters or anything like that, we go back to Hachinosu, then I think it's still in play and it's on the table. But if we end Egghead, we go into the next arc and we continue from there, I think Kuzan killing Garp becomes a little less likely, but it is still a great opportunity for Kuzan to show his allegiance to Blackbeard. And then we could flip that on its head later on in a scenario where now he has to show his allegiance again, but it's against Robin. And then that's where Kuzan draws the line, right? Because this also goes into the whole idea of what Garp was trying to teach all of his proteges in the first place. You leave the old man and you save the child, right? Kuzan saved the child at Ohara. These words were probably echoed to him by Garp even as long ago as, 22 years ago. or even longer. So we have a situation here where Kuzan's going to be put in that exact predicament, and he's going to have to, not save the old man. But I also believe that he is currently saving the old man, because when we see Garp being turned into a popsicle, as everybody likes to call it, what I see is actually a man that's kind of almost cauterizing the wound that was given to Garp by Shiryu, because the only icicle on him is it's at his stab wound. So Kuzan is still the same man. That's what he told Smoker at the end of Punk Hazard. He hasn't changed. So for us to buy into the idea that he is completely evil, that he's working for Blackbeard, that doesn't make any sense. He doesn't want to hurt Garp. He's just got to play his role. So that's where the Snape versus Dumbledore of it all would happen. Garp would allow himself to die to Kuzan if it was for the mission. If it meant ultimately that they would get their goal of destroying and toppling the government, then that's the best case scenario for Garp. And if Garp has any sort of issue with the way that Kuzan is moving right now, he need not look any further than a mirror, because Kuzan is just following an extreme version of Garp's ideals. Garp moves like he is not in the Marines. He moves like he is his own faction. So having a son that became a revolutionary, having a grandson that became a pirate, and having Kuzan also become a pirate, a commander for Yonko, and even Kobe being a member of SWORD, tendering his resignation. That is all situations and examples of his family, his proteges, his mentees choosing freedom over being controlled. So Garp's just got to look in the mirror on that one. And that's going to do it for me. I'm going to turn the mic back over, but I appreciate you having me, and enjoy the rest of the video.
So, let's consider their shared connection to the Marines. Aikiji's association with the Straw Hat Pirates and subsequent departure from the Marines hints at an unconventional ideology at odds with the world government. Could Garp, known for his free-spirited nature, have influenced Aikiji's ideals? But this is just the beginning. When we closely examine their characters, Aokiji and Garp display a striking combination of similarities and differences. Both possess an unwavering sense of justice and have shown a willingness to challenge the authority they serve. Perhaps Aokiji found his defiance through Garp and the world government's corrupt practices, as I touched on earlier. Garp is the first admiral to be introduced pre-timeskip, and Kuzan, although former, is the first admiral to appear post-timeskip. In kanji, Kuzan means 9 mountains, which is interesting considering Garp was said to destroy mountains. Furthermore, Aokiji's actions during the Ohara incident raise intriguing questions. Aokiji, despite being a Marine admiral, allowed Nico Robin to escape, defying his duty to execute her. we see he preserves Saul, rather than unaliving him, leading Saul to go on to save the books of O'Hara. Garp was assigned the task of executing the government's orders and destroying O'Hara. However, despite his refusal over his friendship with O'Hara's archaeologist Clover, Garp arrived too late to stop the destruction. Witnessing the devastation, Garp lets his emotions get the better of him and he confronted his superiors. Additionally, in the series it's revealed that Garp has played a significant role in training Kuzan during his early years in the Marines. This mentor-student dynamic further establishes a connection between the two characters. A contrast between the two, however, is that Garp is very haki heavy and doesn't have a devil fruit, which is the opposite of who's very devil fruit heavy, with it being revealed that when he went to Garp for training, he had no mastery over haki yet. This is illustrated quite well in their fight at Hachinosu also. I think Kuzan will go on to re-establish a new justice for himself and a new version of Sword. From all the ties they share with Smoker, I think it's fair to assume Smoker will be Kuzan's second in command, and Toshigi will be like Smoker's meat shield or something along them lines. The big question is, does this sword take over the Marines in the end game? Or like, do they convince the Marines to join the Straw Hats in their fight against Blackbeard? And with that, we conclude our theory on the potential connection between Aokiji and Garp and their futures, two significant figures in the world of One Piece. Make sure to like and sub. As the story continues to unfold, we can only hope that Oda will shed more light on their relationship and the factors that have shaped their paths. Until then, let's eagerly anticipate the weight of the next chapter of this incredible venture. A little extra info for those who are still here. Garp was born on May the 2nd, the day after May Day. May Day is the UK celebration for the start of summer. So Garp was born the day after the start of summer, fitting, because Luffy, obviously, Luffy's the sun god. Aokiji's birthday is the 21st of September, which is International Peace Day. Last thing, Oda, this is fact, right? I'm not lying. Oda stated that Kuzan Jr., if you follow what I mean, is actually made of ice. So there's something new for you to learn today, if you haven't learned anything else from the video. If you've made it this far, you've just won a free pack of Garpsicles, so just make sure to keep them cool. And you guys have a good day. Do something nice for somebody else, I guess. Big love and peace.